Good morning, everybody. This is
Hey.
Katie with NLFX Professional. I have Kristaval here, and we are going to talk all things DJ. So, Kristaval, you look gorgeous this morning.
Oh, thank you very much.
Why don't you tell me who you are? What do you do? Let's start with what do you do and who are you?
Okay. My name is DJ Kristaval. I am, I live in New Jersey, just right outside of New York. And I'm a full-time entertainment private event DJ. So
Okay.
I own Kristaval Events, and we do everything from bar mitzvahs to weddings to corporate events to big galas.
Have you always wanted to be in the industry? How did that kind of unfold for you?
Well, I actually started a long time ago as a dancer. I was a Nick City dancer, and I used to go to bar mitzvahs and sign autographs for all the kids. And owner of Tom Kaufman Productions, approached me and he said, would you like to come dance at bar mitzvahs and make like $175 for like a 3-hour party? And I was like, what? $175? That's incredible. Oh my gosh, I've never made that much money. So I started doing bar mitzvahs. I was a bar mitzvah dancer, and then I was a bar mitzvah MC. And then I just it's sort of a crazy story. I was around amazing DJs in the industry. I was always behind the booth picking out promo only CDs, and the DJs would let me pick out the next song, and I loved it. I would get so excited. So that energy is what really drew me to it. I loved being behind the scenes, but I was such a successful dancer, not only for the Knicks, but bar mitzvahs, but I was touring at the time. So I was doing pretty well as a dancer, and the thought of going into DJing wasn't just at the time something that I was interested in doing, even though I did love it and I loved being a part of it, but I just didn't have the time, and there were no schools. There was no way to learn DJing back then except for getting a mentor, somebody who could teach you, and I was embarrassed to ask.
So what is the best piece of advice you got, becoming a DJ? Is there anything that sticks out to you?
Yes. So my first phone call was to a guy named Andrew Mendez, who was a friend of a friend. And he said, learn on turntables. Just get a pair of records, get an old pair of turntables, practice on that. And at the time, controllers had come out. And I was like, wait, but why do I have to learn on turntables? Like, why? That's so annoying. Like, why go to that when that's on its way out? In my mind, I was like, the future is controllers and CDJs, and best advice I ever got. So I started with vinyl on turntables. I bought a pair on eBay for $200, and I enrolled in Scratch DJ Academy, and I learned on turntables. So
what do you use now? Do you still use turntables?
I do. Well, I alternate it. So it depends on the event. A lot of corporate events, I use my Rain 12s.
Mm-hmm.
I use my Rain 12s. It's funny how some people think. It's, they see a controller and they think, oh, she's not a real DJ because she's using a controller. So it's silly. It's silly in the world of DJing when they see, a girl on turntables, they're like, she's legit. So when I'm being showcased at a corporate event where, I'm not behind a booth and people are watching what I'm doing, I spin on turntables for the show. Right. For parties and weddings, I prefer a DDJ SZ. It's just easier because I'm doing so much. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm just very comfortable with it, and I can, quickly cue and, MC, do what I need to do. And I have a few of those for events.
So let's talk a little bit about being a woman in the industry. Do you find that it's maybe a little harder being a female?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I have a little bit of a, I had a chip on my shoulder in the beginning when I started. If I told you the things that were said to me when I approached an event company when I started DJing, and they said to me, the only way that we will hire you is if you DJ naked. And then the first couple of gigs I got were to do calls were for summer parties in a bikini. So I was appalled and disgusted, and I would never do that. Yes, it's very hard. And it was very hard to be taken seriously. I remember telling my husband, it's my husband and I who do the company. So when we would go into venues, I would be setting up, and I'd get, the guys like, the looks and the snickers and the laughing. And I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I was telling my husband that these things were happening. I was like, look at the sound guy over there, or look at the catering staff, and he was like, oh, you're exaggerating, or, it's in your mind. But no, every gig it was like, or the lighting guys who didn't know me would be like, oh God, here's another female DJ. But by the end of the party, everyone, wanted my card and shook my hand and said, oh my gosh, it was very hard. It took me a couple of years to really get to the point where when I walked into a venue, people were like, okay, legit, she's got skills. She's here, my favorite was when I walked into the same venue that I went to where they were laughing at first. And we started going, and the staff was just like, she's here. It's going to be a great party, and much respect. And that was the moment in my career where I felt like, okay, thank you. It's about, nobody wants to be looked at. Like, I don't want to keep proving myself. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to have to keep proving yourself. A guy walks in to a venue and it's instant like, yo, what's up, buddy? Much respect, great party tonight. A woman walks in and it's like, it's like, oh, here we go. Another female DJ. So
right.
Frustrating.
So it seemed like you have really kind of made a name for yourself now in the industry, in my opinion. I mean, I remember when I met you like a couple years ago, gosh, where were we? DJ Expo, maybe? I'm not really sure. We went to dinner with Evie. And there was one thing that you told me, and it still sticks to my head. You're like, I always wear heels. No matter what, I always wear heels.
Okay. Well, all right. Here's a little secret. I'm 5'2". So, okay. So there aren't DJ booths that are short enough for me unless I get one custom made. So in order to see over my laptop, I have to wear 5-inch heels. And people are like, well, just wear sneakers and get on a platform. And the funny thing about that is that when I go to the bathroom or I step down to get out on the dance floor to say a few words as an MC, I look like the king in Shrek who gets off the horse and like all of a sudden is like really short. And people are like, wait a second. So I keep my heels on the whole party, and then I just suffer in the car on the way home. Right. Just like, oh, my feet.
I know when you told me that, I'm like, girl, really? How do you do that? Like, your feet must be trained really well.
I have my go-to heels that are just super comfortable, and even though they're a platform, they're super comfortable. So, yeah.
So I haven't been noticing on your feed, you're doing a lot of live streaming stuff. Let's talk a little bit about that. Are you doing it as a marketing effort? Why are you live streaming?
Okay, well, when this pandemic first hit, it was a shock. This was actually the busiest. This spring was going to be the busiest season of my career, and I was really excited about that. It finally came to a point where I was booked 2 years in advance. Very proud of that moment, and I was bummed. I don't want to take away. It put things into perspective when I saw people losing their lives. And I said, okay, you know what? This is just a job. We'll get through this. So I took some time off and I just spent time with my family and I enjoyed the moment. And then I was like, okay, this is going to be a little bit longer than we expected. How do I change directions and find something in this moment that I could do, or, ultimately, hopefully make money out of it. But the original thought to stream was really just to have fun again. I have friends who are asking me to go on and have a good time. I really didn't think the live streaming on Facebook was just for fun. It's just, to bring attention to some small businesses. The first one that I did was to bring attention to a friend's business who is doing such great things. And then the rest, if I'm not being sponsored by somebody, it's just having fun. But I did start a company out of it. It's called live stream events. And we're doing big virtual events for corporate. So
tell me a little bit more about that. So you're obviously marketing that aspect of it, right?
Yes. Well, actually, we have a big event for the city of New York, 3,000 social service workers. So that was a great moment when we booked that. And the platform that I'm using for that, it's not Zoom. So I don't really do the Zoom parties so much. My goal was to create something for galas and corporate events where we could have up to 50,000 people, viewing it at a time. So I had gotten a call from a party planner when I decided to go virtual, start doing virtual parties, virtual YouTube streams. And she said, can you put together a virtual party for 3,000 New Yorkers? And I said, absolutely. So I called an AV team and I got, a roster of 22 talented artists, and we put together a show. And then from there, it just turned into something amazing, and it's been great. So
I'm going to ask the questions that I know people are going to be asking, hopefully.
Sure.
What platform are you using?
Okay, so we're doing a private YouTube channel. So it's a private YouTube link. And let me tell you why. YouTube has already developed the software that is very stable. If you're looking for, your clients to want something where it's secure, where nobody can hack it, YouTube already has developed that software. So my suggestion is to just do that. Do a private YouTube link. And that's what we're doing. So.
And then what other gear are you using for that? Audio gear, software, that sort of stuff.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's where the AV team is taking over. We have a whole production team, and we have a warehouse in Queens where we have green screen set up. We have technicians there, and it's the best of the best crew is handling that. So I am not personally doing that. So when I started this company, I reached out to Kristaval, who owns PA Moore. Brilliant guy. He already developed this about 6 years ago, before the pandemic. He already was streaming from big galas to thousands of people across the world who couldn't be at the gala. So he had this developed, and he has a warehouse. And I said he's got different sections. So I don't love doing live streaming where people are streaming from their homes. You get into trouble with that because everybody's Wi-Fi is different. It's bad. You don't know. And when you have a big budget for corporate, you don't want to risk anything. So what we're doing is we have the stationary cameras set up in the warehouse. Socially distant. The warehouse is huge. So there's at least 4 different sections where we can stream from, where the cameras are set and they are robotic. The guy who's operating the cameras is actually coming from another country right now, and he's brilliant. His name is Jack. So he is able to operate those cameras without being there. We can put anything on the screen behind them. It's fantastic. And we allow you can have up to 8 people who are streaming in live, and it works. And we can control that. But it's not something that we have like a Zoom party where there's 50 to 100 people streaming in. And the clients that I'm working with are very particular about who is able to act, be in the moment. We have to be careful because you just don't know who's going to say what or this and that. So very controlled environment. Some of the talent is pre-recorded and then shown. So it's very controlled environment. And we have comments going. That's the live is comments and up to 8 people that are on the screen at a time.
Very cool, guys. I do want to remind you, if you have questions, write them in the comments. I am monitoring them as we speak. So Kristaval, my next, like, that sounds like a really like huge thing for a corporate event. It actually sounds pretty fun. Are you having fun with it?
I am. Now I am. Yes.
Now, before it was just stressful.
Yeah. Well, we have so many different performers and making sure that they have the cameras and set up this. And that's just been a little bit crazy, but I love it. It's keeping me busy. So it's good.
So some people may look at you and consider you successful. My question to you is, what does success mean to you personally?
Success to me, being at peace. I feel like, I don't know, success, I've spent my whole life trying to figure out what I was going to do and where, I guess everybody's always looking for that moment where, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, I'm going to be, everybody has these goals, and it's constantly, I feel like do I make sense? Like for the first time in my life, I am at peace and I'm where I belong. I feel like I finally found where I belong, and it fits like a glove. I'm an entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've started many businesses in my life. I've owned restaurants. I have started beauty salons, mobile beauty salons. They've been very successful. I've started the glam bar. We're the first in the country to have the glam bar that goes to bar mitzvahs and weddings and corporate events. So I've always been doing companies, and this is the first time as a DJ with my company and where we are at in the business that I can say, like,
the breath.
Do you know what I mean? Like and it's not even about views. It's not even about how many Instagram followers you have. It's not about, it's not about that. It's not about, that gets crazy. People get caught up in, being famous on social media and what looks like success. I think success is really finding peace and being with what your career and getting up in the morning and being excited about it. I mean, I get excited. I know it sounds cheesy, but I get excited to go to events. I get excited prepping music. I get excited thinking about the response that the bride and groom will have on the dance floor. Those are the things that excite me. And that to me is success, is finding your passion and doing it for a living. Does that make sense?
That's perfect. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about these glam bars. I haven't heard of that before.
Oh, okay. So little known fact, I'm a licensed cosmetologist. So during this pandemic, for the guys out there, sorry, girls, I'm able to do my hair, my nails. So it's the first time I'm like, yes. So I started when I went to school for cosmetology. I was still dancing as a bar mitzvah dancer on the side. And I got my license and the hair feathers came out. So that was like the big rage, all those hair feathers. So I created, it's called the Hair Boutique. And we were going to bar mitzvahs and weddings and corporate events, putting the feathers in everybody's hair. And then that turned into the glam bar. So what it is we set up huge, gigantic makeup mirrors, and this licensed cosmetologists come in and they set up, they do lashes and diamond hair. They do lip tattoos, flash tattoos. It's not so much makeup as it is just adding fun stuff for the party at the event. And I sold it when my business took off. At one time I had 16 girls going out to different parties throughout the city, and then companies started taking the idea, and I lost sort of a lot of business because companies did it themselves. So when I saw that and I saw the stress of it, and every event I had to buy hundreds and hundreds of products, and so each distributor, it just became crazy. So DJing and running, a staff of glam bars that was going out, every weekend, just too much.
Right. So if you had advice for someone who wants to go full time, that is kind of afraid to take the leap, what advice would you give them?
Oh, so here's where I say you kind of have to take the leap. If you prepare, make sure that you have everything ready to go. I did. I made sure that I had everything ready to go. I made sure that I had the correct equipment. Thanks to Electro Voice, shout out, best speakers in the world. So I made sure that I had all the equipment. I made sure that I had backup to the backup. And then I just went for it. You have to go for it. You can't live in fear. I think people, that is the problem that I find with so many people, is that they're afraid to make the leap. I'm not going to lie, when I decided to stop dancing, there were 3 months where I was struggling financially. And I had to make sure I had money in the bank. So I had enough money to pay my bills, but I was struggling those 3 months, but I knew that if I didn't make the transition from dancing to DJing, that I would never get the respect, that I would never really fully do it. So you have to make the leap. You have to finally do it. And it's not easy, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. So it's not easy. You're going to go through those struggles. You're going to go through that. And on the other side of that is where you want to be. And that's where you will be.
Perfect. I love those words. One more question. It looks like we're almost out of time. So one more question I was thinking when you were talking about that is there anything that you would suggest that DJs be doing right now to market their business, to make sure that they come out the other side stronger, better? Anything that they should be doing, or personally marketing, anything like that?
Sure. I've been seeing a lot of DJ streaming, and I feel like people are going in the wrong direction. People are like scrambling for attention, and people are like, if I'm not seen, I'm not relevant. That's not true. If you've built your business, after this pandemic, you will be continually successful. This is not going to affect our businesses in the long run. We will still be there, and people will have parties. So now that we have this downtime, my suggestion is build your website, redo your website, do the things, go through your equipment, make sure that you have the right equipment, clean it up, do your wires, do everything that you didn't have time to do before. I see a lot of people's websites are not up to par, including mine, working on that. So do the things behind the scenes that when you're busy, that you don't have the time to do. And then use that platform to get that out. Show people your new website. Show people, your new offerings. Put together a promo video, things like that. But direct your attention in the right way of building, not in panic.
I like those. I think that's very clever. I like that a lot.
Thanks. I hope it helps.
I think it does. I think it's great advice. So my final question for you, Kristaval, is my son, whose name is Jackson, he will be 10 on Saturday. Yay! He's so excited.
Happy birthday, Jackson.
No, he gets to ask the final question. And this week it is, who would win a fight? Would it be a dinosaur or a robot?
Oh, I would say a dinosaur, because they just fight dirty.
I like it.
When you're 5'2", and you have to learn to, you fight dirty, you bite,
Right. So do you have any final thoughts for our viewers today?
Sure. I just want to say hi to everyone and let them know that we are in this together, and we will come out of this stronger. People will party again, and it will be better than ever. So, like I said, use this time to do things that you didn't have a chance to do before, and spend time with your family. So that's it.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining me today, Kristaval. I loved our conversation. It was so much fun. It looks like everybody in the comments also love you. So
thank you. And thank you for the opportunity.
Today's Friday, isn't it? Yay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll be back on Monday, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. I'll see you guys on Monday. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at NLFX Katie, YouTube at NLFX Pro, and we will see you on Monday.
Bye, guys.